Hello everyone. In the last video I said I was going to start talking about what we can actually do about rising electric bills in Indiana, but after digging deeper I realized we needed to understand why bills have risen so fast and how it relates to legislation passed in Indiana. You've probably seen reports from groups like the Citizens Action Coalition claiming Indiana legislation mainly benefited the utilities. The two biggest issues they point to are CWIP and TDSIC. Today my goal is to help give you both sides of the argument so that we can have an informed conversation. So first, CWIP, which stands for Construction Work in Progress. This law allows utilities with approval from the IURC to start recovering some construction costs for major projects while those projects are still being built. Supporters say this helps avoid massive rate hikes later because costs are spread out over time. They argue utilities borrow less money up front, which reduces interest and lowers the total long-term cost of the project. But critics argue customers are being forced to pay for projects before receiving any electricity. They say CWIP shifts financial risk away from utility shareholders and onto the ratepayers. Critics also state CWIP may reduce pressure on utilities to keep projects on schedule. At the end of the day, both sides agree customers eventually pay for these projects, but the disagreement is really about when the customer should pay, who should carry the financial risk, and whether CWIP lowers long-term costs or simply guarantees utilities earlier profits. So now let's talk about TDSIC, which stands for Transmission, Distribution, and Storage Investment Cost. This allows utilities to recover costs for upgrading poles, wires, and substations intended to modernize the grid. Supporters argue this is necessary due to aging infrastructure. They say it helps utilities make upgrades sooner, improves reliability, and prevents massive rate hikes later by spreading costs out gradually. Opponents argue utilities were already required to maintain the grid and that these laws allow utilities to collect money from customers faster and with less oversight than before. They argue that TDSIC shifts more financial risk onto customers and creates less financial pressure on utilities to minimize cost. And this is where the frustration comes in for many Hoosiers. People keep hearing these laws were supposed to make things more stable and affordable, yet our bills continue to rise. It is important to state that electric bills will never truly go down, as the IURC has already approved rate increases tied to upgrades. So the real conversation now becomes how do we slow future increases while balancing reliability, modernization, and affordability. Over the next few videos, we'll start to discuss possible options for change. These reels are only limited to about 3 minutes, so breaking these topics down in a clear and fair way can be a little challenging for me. And as always, I look forward to hearing your comments as long as they're kind, and I'm honored to serve. Thank you.